What if I told you that one of Hollywood's most respected legends left behind a secret notebook that could destroy everything we thought we knew about the Golden Age? A notebook said to list the names of stars the world once worshipped, icons whose charm, beauty, and talent defined an era, but who, behind closed doors, ruled through manipulation, cruelty, and fear. In 2007, a hidden journal allegedly belonging to Burt Lancaster resurfaced, and inside were names that no one expected to see. These weren't minor players or forgotten faces. They were Hollywood royalty: Elizabeth Taylor, Kirk Douglas, Marilyn Monroe, and more. Each name was followed by chilling descriptions: predator in human skin, laughter with a razor's edge, black hole in Hollywood. For decades, audiences adored these legends, never imagining the chaos behind the glamour. But this notebook didn't celebrate them, it exposed them. And if what it revealed was true, then the golden age of Hollywood wasn't built on talent or beauty, it was built on secrets, control, and fear. So tonight, we open the notebook and uncover the truth about the stars who shined the brightest and burned the darkest. When the story first surfaced, Hollywood tried to bury it. The idea that Burt Lancaster, one of the most respected actors of his generation, had secretly kept a notebook filled with dark secrets about his peers sounded impossible. But behind the scenes, quiet whispers began to spread. They said that in his final years, Lancaster had grown disillusioned with the very world that made him famous. He'd seen too much, too many smiles that hid corruption, too many handshakes that sealed something darker than deals. Those who claimed to have seen the notebook said it wasn't written for fame or revenge. It was written out of guilt, a confession from a man who had witnessed the cost of silence. Page after page, Lancaster supposedly described what Hollywood refused to admit, that beneath the glitter and the gold, there was rot. Every entry revealed a pattern: power turned toxic, beauty used as a weapon, fame twisted into control. To the outside world, the golden age of Hollywood looked flawless, a dream machine powered by elegance and talent. But inside the studios, the dream was often a cage. Producers controlled lives like property. Actors learned early that survival meant obedience, and rebellion could end a career overnight. Some were crushed by that system. Others learned to bend it to their will. And that, Lancaster allegedly wrote, was the true story of Hollywood. The stars we adored on screen weren't always the same people once the camera stopped rolling. Some were kind, some were cruel, and a few, the ones whose names filled that notebook, were far more dangerous than anyone could imagine. The first name on his list was one that stunned everyone. She was the woman who could stop Hollywood with a single glance, a symbol of beauty, power, and chaos. Her name was Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was the definition of Hollywood royalty. Violet eyes, diamonds that could blind a room, and a presence so powerful that entire productions revolved around her moods. To the world, she was elegance personified, a symbol of beauty and success. But according to Lancaster's alleged notes, that beauty came with a storm that few could survive. On the set of Cleopatra in 1962, Taylor's word was law. When she disliked the color of her costume, she didn't just ask for a change. She locked herself in her dressing room for 14 hours, bringing a multi-million-dollar production to a standstill. When the director demanded she return, she reportedly hurled a glass of wine at his face. Moments like these became legend, but Lancaster suggested there was more beneath the surface. He believed Taylor had learned to use her power deliberately, a master of control in a world that tried to control her. Her love life was just as fierce. Married 8 times, twice to the same man, Taylor's relationships became global headlines, but Lancaster claimed those marriages were less about love and more about dominance. A battlefield where charm and manipulation danced side by side. With Richard Burton, she allegedly didn't just share the spotlight, she absorbed it. Together, they bent producers, rewrote contracts, and made Hollywood kneel to their demands. To Lancaster, Taylor wasn't just another temperamental starlet. She was a strategist, a woman who had mastered the art of using emotion, fame, and vulnerability as weapons. He described her as a storm behind the eyes, beautiful, unpredictable, and dangerous in her ability to make the world revolve around her. But Taylor was only the beginning, because the next name in the notebook belonged to a man who embodied the very image of a hero. Yet, according to Lancaster, lived as something far darker when the cameras stopped rolling. Kirk Douglas, the predator in human skin. To the world, Kirk Douglas was the face of courage. He was Spartacus, the rebel, the fighter, the man who stood for freedom and defiance. His smile radiated strength, and his name carried the weight of legend. But according to Lancaster's hidden notebook, that image was a performance, one crafted so perfectly that few ever saw what lay beneath. Lancaster's words painted a chilling picture, a predator in human skin. Behind closed doors, Douglas allegedly ruled through fear. He didn't just act like a leading man, he demanded to be treated like one. Colleagues whispered that his influence stretched far beyond the screen. He could make or break careers with a single phone call. Lancaster claimed Douglas manipulated producers, pressured casting directors, and punished anyone who refused to obey. In one particularly disturbing story, an actress was allegedly removed from a film in 1959 after turning down his invitation to dinner, a subtle punishment that echoed through the industry. Lancaster's notes suggested Douglas's control extended even deeper. He accused him of using charm as a disguise, a mask that hid something cold and calculating. There were even whispers of him weaponizing Hollywood's vices, offering substances and favors to those he wanted to control, and using fear to keep them silent. On set, his charisma made people admire him. Off set, it made them afraid of him. To audiences, Douglas symbolized integrity and freedom. But to Lancaster, he was something entirely different, a man who embodied the darkness of power unchecked. He didn't just dominate Hollywood, he devoured it. And while his legend grew, so did the trail of broken careers left in his shadow. But Lancaster's notebook didn't stop there, because after Douglas came a name that shocked him the most, a woman whose tears could move an audience to silence. And, according to him, were her most powerful weapon. Her name was Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood had a gift that few actresses could match. She could make an entire audience feel her pain with a single look. Her fragility felt real, raw, and deeply human, the kind of vulnerability that made people fall in love with her again and again. But according to Lancaster's alleged notebook, that fragility wasn't always what it seemed. He described her as a master of performance, even when the cameras weren't rolling. To Lancaster, Wood's tears were never just emotions, they were tools. He wrote about one production where she staged a fainting spell after an argument, delaying filming for hours until the producers agreed to her demands. She understood how to use sympathy as power, how to make softness feel like strength. Co-stars she disliked reportedly found themselves quietly replaced, their names vanishing from cast lists without explanation. Lancaster believed it wasn't coincidence, it was calculation. But what made her story truly haunting wasn't her influence on set. It was how her life ended. In 1981, Natalie Wood drowned off the coast of Catalina Island, a tragedy that remains one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries. Officially ruled an accident, her death sparked endless speculation. Lancaster's alleged writing hinted at a darker truth, cryptically stating, "The sea did not take her. It only hid what she left behind." He claimed that in her final years, Wood had grown more secretive, more fearful, and more controlling of those around her. She knew how Hollywood worked, and she wasn't afraid to use that knowledge to survive in it. But survival came at a cost. Paranoia, power, and a life lived behind locked doors. To the public, she was innocence personified, the delicate star who never seemed to belong to Hollywood's chaos. But to Lancaster, she was the chaos, quiet, beautiful, and far more dangerous than anyone dared to believe. And just as her tears could control a room, another Hollywood icon used laughter the same way, not to uplift, but to dominate. The next name in Lancaster's notebook was a face America adored, but whose smile, he claimed, hid a cruel heart: Mickey Rooney. For decades, Mickey Rooney was Hollywood's eternal boy. The cheeky grin, the quick wit, the charm that made America believe he could do no wrong. On screen, he was the embodiment of innocence, a small man with a big heart who seemed incapable of cruelty. But according to Lancaster's notebook, that heart hid something much darker. Behind the camera, Rooney was no comic savior. He was, as Lancaster described, a man who fed on humiliation. Crew members allegedly whispered about how Rooney treated those beneath him. Extras, makeup artists, even assistants, no one was safe from his sharp tongue. Lancaster wrote that Rooney would mock their mistakes in front of the entire crew, turning embarrassment into entertainment. He didn't just crave attention, he demanded it, even if it came at someone else's expense. But what disturbed Lancaster most wasn't Rooney's on-set cruelty. It was how that cruelty followed him home. He claimed Rooney treated his wives not as partners, but as possessions, women to control, not love. One shocking account described an incident in 1967 when Rooney allegedly slapped his wife on set for being late, leaving the crew frozen in silence. For the public, he was a lovable jokester. For those close to him, he was a storm waiting to explode. Lancaster wrote that Rooney's smile was his greatest disguise. It wasn't a reflection of joy, it was armor, a shield that hid a need for control, a hunger to dominate those who reminded him he wasn't as powerful as the image he played. Behind that smile, Lancaster supposedly wrote, was a man who could crush you and laugh while doing it. Mickey Rooney's story shattered the illusion that Hollywood's brightest stars were pure reflections of their roles. If even laughter could hide cruelty, then what else could be masked behind tears, beauty, or fame? Lancaster didn't leave that question unanswered, because the next name in his notebook belonged to a woman who defined beauty itself, yet according to him was a force of chaos that consumed everything in her path. Marilyn Monroe, the black hole of Hollywood. No name in Hollywood carries more tragedy, more fascination, or more mystery than Marilyn Monroe. To the world, she was a vision, the ultimate symbol of desire, innocence, and glamour. Her smile could stop traffic, her voice could melt a room, and her vulnerability made millions fall in love. But according to Burt Lancaster's alleged notebook, that vulnerability was not weakness. It was her weapon. Lancaster described Monroe as a black hole in Hollywood, a force so magnetic that everything around her was drawn in, then destroyed. On the set of Some Like It Hot, she reportedly vanished for hours without warning, leaving directors and co-stars in chaos. Crews grew terrified of her unpredictability, yet no one dared confront her. She had mastered the art of power through fragility. The more broken she appeared, the more control she gained. Lancaster claimed Monroe understood exactly what she was doing. She knew the effect she had, not just on audiences, but on the men who ruled Hollywood. Her affairs with powerful producers and studio heads weren't just romantic entanglements, they were her leverage. When Jack Warner allegedly tried to pair her with another leading man, Monroe staged a public emotional breakdown that halted production until the decision was reversed. She didn't fight the system, she bent it. But what haunted Lancaster most wasn't her behavior on set. It was what she represented. He believed Marilyn embodied the price of fame itself, a soul swallowed by the very spotlight she chased. He wrote, "She drew people in with light, but what lived inside her was gravity, inescapable, endless, and consuming." Monroe's death only deepened the legend. Officially ruled an overdose, it became one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. To Lancaster, it wasn't an accident. It was the inevitable end of a woman who had learned too much about the game and dared to play it better than anyone else. She was both the victim and the villain of her own story. Fragile enough to be pitied, powerful enough to be feared. And as Lancaster supposedly wrote, every man wanted to save her, but she didn't want saving. She wanted control, but Monroe wasn't the only star who lived behind a mask. The next entry in the notebook was a man who embodied charm and heroism. Yet beneath his tailored suits and Hollywood grin, Lancaster claimed he saw something demonic. His name was Errol Flynn, and Lancaster called him the Devil in a gentleman's suit. Errol Flynn was Hollywood's original daredevil, a man who seemed born for adventure. With his sword in hand and a grin on his face, he swung from chandeliers, fought villains, and stole hearts. He was the image of charisma. To the world, Flynn represented charm, courage, and freedom. But according to Lancaster's alleged notebook, that charm hid something far darker. Behind the laughter and the applause, he wrote, was a devil in a gentleman's suit. Flynn's parties were the stuff of legend, the kind of wild, glamorous nights that define the golden age. But Lancaster claimed those nights were anything but glamorous. Behind the closed doors of mansions and private yachts, there were whispers of violence, addiction, and fear. He described gatherings where alcohol flowed endlessly and guests were expected to play along or never be invited again. Some left those parties shaken, others never spoke of them at all. Lancaster's words were scathing. He accused Flynn of creating dens of control where charm became a trap and laughter disguised cruelty. There were endless rumors in the press, arrests, scandals, allegations of abuse. Yet Flynn always escaped unscathed. Lancaster suggested it wasn't luck that saved him. It was power, the kind of power that came from connections, money, and the ability to make people disappear, not physically, but professionally. To the public, Flynn was gallantry incarnate, the hero who saved the day and kissed the girl. But to Lancaster, he was the perfect predator, polite, handsome, disarming. He smiled like a friend, Lancaster allegedly wrote, but you never saw the knife until it was already in your back. Even decades after his death, Errol Flynn's name remained untouchable, wrapped in nostalgia, guarded by myth. But Lancaster's notebook told a story that stripped away the legend and left something raw. A man who lived for pleasure, cared for nothing but control, and left destruction in his wake. And just when it seemed the notebook couldn't get darker, the next entry did something no one expected. It targeted a woman who built her entire legacy on laughter. According to Lancaster, behind the bright red hair and perfect comedic timing was a ruler far more ruthless than anyone ever imagined. Her name was Lucille Ball, and he called her laughter a weapon sharper than any blade. Lucille Ball was America's comedy queen, the face that made the nation laugh through war, heartbreak, and change. Her voice filled living rooms. Her charm felt untouchable. But according to Lancaster's alleged notebook, that laughter came with a price. He claimed that behind the stage lights of Desilu Studios, Ball ruled with an iron fist. She demanded perfection, and mistakes weren't forgiven. They were punished. Writers were mocked in front of their peers, scripts were thrown back in humiliation, and employees lived in quiet fear of her temper. That laughter built an empire, Lancaster allegedly wrote, but it also broke the people who built it for her. To the public, she was warmth itself, a symbol of joy. But to those who worked beneath her, Lancaster said, she was something else entirely, a ruler whose smile could save your career or end it. And just when it seemed the notebook couldn't get darker, its final name appeared, the Queen of Hollywood herself, whose beauty hid something far more terrifying. Her name was Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was the picture of perfection, elegant, commanding, and endlessly composed. Her image was her weapon, her control absolute. But according to Lancaster's alleged notebook, what she showed the world was only half the story. Behind closed doors, the glamour gave way to fear. He described Crawford as a woman who demanded order in a world built on chaos. Every detail of her home had to match her standards, spotless, silent, and obedient. Her children, especially her daughter Christina, would later reveal the terror behind that order: beatings, humiliation, and punishment for the smallest mistakes. Lancaster's notes echoed that sentiment, calling her a ruler who believed fear worked better than love. What disturbed him most, he wrote, was how naturally Crawford shifted between her two selves. On camera, she radiated grace. Off camera, she ruled like a monarch surrounded by invisible walls. He didn't call her evil, he called her afraid. Afraid of age, irrelevance, and the slow decay of control. She worshipped perfection, Lancaster allegedly wrote, because it was the only thing she could still command. To her audience, she was an untouchable goddess. But to those who knew her best, she was a storm that never ended, a reminder that even the brightest stars can cast the darkest shadows. When Burt Lancaster's alleged notebook surfaced, the world didn't know what to make of it. Was it a confession, a myth, or a warning from a man who had seen too much? Whether the journal truly existed or not, its message felt undeniable. That Hollywood's golden glow was lit by something much darker. The stars we worshipped weren't just actors. They were survivors, manipulators, and sometimes monsters. Their beauty was power. Their charm was control. And every perfect performance came with a cost someone else had to pay. Maybe Lancaster's words were exaggerated. Maybe they were his way of making peace with an industry that had chewed up everyone he knew. But even if the notebook was never real, the patterns it described were. Power always hides behind performance, and Hollywood was its grandest stage. So now the question isn't whether Lancaster's notebook existed, It's whether he was the only one who saw the truth. Which of these stories shocked you the most? The heroes turned predators, the queens who ruled through fear, or the icons who weaponized their pain? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories from Hollywood's hidden past. Because in Hollywood, the lights may fade, but the secrets never do.